aspects. And he's actually going to speak about one thing that he worked for us, actually, which is, and we're actually introducing this for the first time, basically our attempt to write a mobile SDK that's specifically meant to interact with Janus. So it can be used with other things as well, but it has some aspects that are more related to Janus itself. And so we are definitely interested. I mean, it's not been released yet, but we will release it soon. So if you're interested in giving it a try, like a beta tester or an alpha tester or whatever, just get in touch with us. We definitely welcome the feedback. And so without further ado, I'll leave the floor to Pasquale to talk about it.
Thank you, Lorenzo. So, hello, I'm Pasquale, as Lorenzo said, and I'm from Naples. I live in this very city. And I work for a company, an Irish company called Statwolf. This is a little product placement for my company. And I'm here to talk to you about a problem. Yeah, I live with a flatmate. I mean, there is a flatmate in my living room, living in a bowl. It's called Boris. He's a little goldfish. And he's very upset to me because I work remotely for my company. So very often I have to go to Dublin where my company headquarters is there. And so I have to come very often to to Dublin, and he's always alone. So, but I'm a software engineer. I always use to implement solution in a smart way, and I create a solution for Boris like all the people of the internet era does, and it's by building a new startup called PetsApp. PetsApp is like WhatsApp, but it's for pets. Basically, is a video chat application for pet owners. And here I will show you the MVP I built for this startup. And first thing first, I need to implement an application who manage users, and users has to have rooms. Each pet should have a streaming device, and each pet should subscribe to a room, and the user should watch all the feed simultaneously. So basically, we are implementing a basic video room, and we want this application be very strong. So we leverage on WebRTC, that everybody knows, of course. And for our MVP, we need just 3 components: the server application, the mobile application for the pet owner, and a streaming device for the pet. Let's start with the server. The server requirements are, of course, the user and the room management API. So we need to manage users, the user creation and the room creation. We need a WebRTC signaling server. And of course, we need that our server acts like MCU as a multi-point unit. And thanks to Miteco, we already have all of these implemented in Janus. So for our infrastructure, we just need to deploy the Janus server in our infrastructure with a Docker image. So for our MVP, we don't need any server, so we are cool. Then we go with the client. First thing first, we want that the client application is cross-platform. So it should be an iOS, there should be an iOS application, an Android application, and a Linux application for the streaming device. And we want that we want to maximize the shared code. So we don't want to implement 3 different applications. We want just one single application and create some bindings. We want the application to be native. So I'm sorry, but I don't like React Native. And we don't want any vendor lock-in. That's for the very same reason. So I start, Googling about a solution for a framework, a magic framework, and we didn't find anything until now, because here we are presenting the Janus Client SDK. This is the first native Janus SDK, and I made in collaboration with Miteco, and this is the first presentation of the SDK. Yeah. So our SDK is cross-platform. It's one of our requirements. It's mobile first. So in the first version, we only have the iOS and Android bindings. We support the Janus API out of the box. So for my MVP, I deployed the Janus server in my infrastructure, and then I used directly the Janus API. And it is extensible with custom protocol and plugins. So if you wrap Janus around the custom protocol, or if you build your own plugin for Janus, you can inject code in this SDK and use directly your code. And of course, it's open source. What? Yes, it's open source. In fact, we expect a lot of feedback from you. We need help to go ahead with this project. And basically, the structure of the Janus Client SDK is like this. It is just a big C++ library that recently is very programming C++. It became very cool, and we have bindings in Java and Objective-C. And I have a story about this. Have you ever tried to create binding in Objective-C or in Java? Yeah. So Objective-C is quite straightforward. You write a kind of module, like a Frankenstein module, half in C++, half in Objective-C. It's quite straightforward, it's good, it's no problem. And have you ever tried to integrate C++ in Java with JNI? Okay, that's how a JNI code looks like. It's evil. It's very bad. It's very, very, very bad. So I was wandering on my balcony one night, and I was scrolling YouTube, and the god of a YouTube recommendation system offered me this video. It's about two guys of Dropbox, and it's talking about practical cross-platform mobile C++ development at Dropbox. Cool, it's what I need. And it's a very cool presentation. And this guy presented a new framework about Dropbox called Genie. And basically, Genie is a code generation tool. You write code in a sort of definition language. You write all your interfaces here. And the Genie tools creates all the glue code between C++, Java, and Objective-C. So we put Genie there, and we don't worry anymore about GNI and Objective-C++, and it is cool. So come back to the PetsApp, and I want to show you the Janus client from the point of the app developer. So first thing first, we need to create a new Android project, and we need to clone the Janus client framework. And there are a lot of dependencies. It's still a C++ project, so we don't have a package manager, and we don't have anything about this. But we create a lot of scripts and a make file, very big make file, in which you just type make, and we download all the dependencies for you, and we prepare the SDK for all the platforms. We will see how to create an Android application with the Janus client. And first thing, we need to integrate the downloaded library in our project, add it as dependencies at line 30 line, and enable the Android permission. And at the end, the application, yes, yeah, it looks like this. We have the Janus module here. I think it's this one. I can see it. And our application here. So we integrated all the framework with no effort. Okay. Basically, in Janus Client SDK, we have two entities. There is the base service, that is the main service of Janus, and we have a lot of plugins. There are the same plugins of the server side, and we implemented this like event-driven based on delegate pattern. That means that for these two entities, there are two other interfaces that are the delegates of the main entities, and they are built to take the events from the C++ layer. And here we'll see how to use the library. Here we have, I don't see the, okay. Okay, so we have a factory here to create the Janus service. And the Janus here is the first entity which we saw before. And we just need to configure it with the address of the Janus endpoint and the I servers and stuff like this. And to register the Janus delegate of your application. The Janus delegate is shaped like this. It's just two callbacks. Main Janus error callback fired every time there is an error in C++ layer and in the communication as well. And on plugin enabled callback that is fired every time the SDK attaches to one plugin. In fact, we can attach to a plugin with the last line. There is a call called attach with the ID of the plugin with a context bundle. It's used to pass some arguments to retrieve when the event is fired. So you can match the call with the events. So same way, every time a new plugin is attached, we have on plugin enabled event with the ID of the plugin. And the handle there is the plugin instance. That means that you can interact with the remote plugin using this interface. And here again we have to set delegate for the plugin. That is a little bit more complex. And where we have a single kernel on event function fired every time there is a event on the plugin protocol, and there are some media events. On media change is called every time the media changed, of course. It means that a new local stream is enabled, a new remote stream is incoming, and so on. On engap is called when the media shut down, and on detach is called when you detach from the plugin. In the end, there are two special callback called on offer and answer fired during the ICE handshaking. And if you need to update your SDP with custom protocols or with custom M lines, you can do it here. And now each plugin has its own implementation. That means there is no unique interface for the plugin. That's why we decided to use a general dispatch function in which you pass the name of the function you want to call, and again the arg bundle with the arguments of the call. Right now we support Ecotest, Video Room, and Streaming. Maybe there are new other plugins will be implemented later. And we provide a media view that is simple a wrapper around the surface video, and you can put in your code and at which you can attach the streams. Okay, so let's go back to our application. I can't see too much, and of course we have the main activity of Android application. Do you have ever experience in programming with Android, more or less? And I like the React style of developing. So I have here a single status object shared by all the application with observable objects. So basically, every time something happens in my application, I update the status, the view watch the status and updates itself. And we have a static class here called commands, and with all the commands of the application. And we have here a single queue where all the commands are enqueued. and it's executed on a single thread, not on main thread. So we don't have problems about about locking. Okay, so this is the main application. We have the fragment here, so that are the views of our application. These are normal views, normal fragments of Android. And here we have the delegates I said before. First delegate is this one, where we have on Janus error, we here just update the error variable in our status. And here we have a sort of kernel in which every time a new plugin is attached, we fire the event, we see which kind of plugin is attached, and we choose what to do. In particular, we here have we set delegate for the plugin. The plugin is, I think it's this one. What? And here, okay, this is a very basic application. So we start with the application. We log into the room. We read how many publishers are in the room, and we attach to the publishers. So every time we attach to the publishers to the video room plugin, here we go to the room fragment, and the room fragment we start to attach to all the publisher plugins. In the end, we have the subscribers here that does anything, and the final step is this one, in which we attach the media here to the view. For the fragment here, we have, let's see. Oh. Non ci vedo. Is it the room? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So this is the view. This is the media view. We have here the pet video, and in the here we attach we create the pet layout, and we set the media here. Just one line of code. So we don't have to worry about the WebArtist implementation, all the stuff about the communication and stuff like this. We just attach the plugin to our project, we use it, and it just works. And okay, and it is how PetsApp looks like. Hey, and this is Boris. Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thanks, Pasquale. Are there any questions for? Oh, I see a couple of hands, so I'll go to Jan first.
So I noticed that you mentioned this Dropbox and this Genie framework.
Yeah.
And Dropbox a few days ago published a blog post that they are going away from their C++ core because they don't find developers for it maintaining anymore. So I guess this Genie framework is also going to be unmaintained. So do you plan to maintain it yourself, or what's your future-proof plan for this?
Actually, we are already using a patched version of Genie, because there was a little problem before. And usually we don't go to hide with develop of the third-party software. So I think we'll stay with this. If there are new problems in the future, I think we'll think about some solution.
So you basically for now maintain it yourself?
Yeah, I don't think maintain the software. I just use it as is.
Okay.
Because now it works and it works fine. So I don't think it's
okay.
There's a necessity.
Thank you.
past, I've followed some open source projects that use something called Swig that also does these binding generations automatically. Is Genie somehow similar or
Sorry,
different?
come again?
Swig.
Swig, I don't know it. Is it similar?
SWIG.
It's similar to Genie.
I think so.
Oh, I don't know this one.
Any more questions?
So I know it may sound dumb, but did you consider making the native SDKs with React Native?
Yes. And there is this slide here. Wait. Yeah. Oh, it's far away. Okay, here. I want to be native, so I don't want to use Ionic or Cordova, stuff like this, and I don't want vendor lock-in. That means that I don't want, Facebook is a big company like Google. Google, look at what happens to Angular. From one day to another, all the API changed and the Angular 1.6 is not supported anymore. I don't want to be in that situation.
While that is not a bad point, the fact that Microsoft released Office written with React Native and Skype as well,
Okay.
I think it pretty much guarantees its future beyond Facebook. But in a way, aren't you already kind of a slave of LibWebRTC already?
Yeah,
Because whatever they do, you have to take it.
yeah, but look,
If
using this library does mean that you cannot use React Native.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I was just wondering what if you had considered other options. I
Yeah, I
actually
considered,
found it.
but I don't want to. I want to be free. I want this library free in terms of freedom, if
That's
you know
okay.
what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get it.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem.
I think maybe we have time for one more question. Otherwise, we can wrap it up. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks, Pasquale.
no problem.
Thanks. So this concludes this first stage of events, and as you know, we have the social event tonight, sponsored by the guys at Nexmo. Uh, as I said, it's very easy to go there by foot. So you just go downstairs, go straight on the left, and it's where you see the big monument. It's there basically if you want to go there by yourself. Otherwise, well, the idea is to meet downstairs in the lobby at about 10 minutes to 7 so that we can go all together if you want. So that's the appointment that we can, if you want to go together with us, 10 minutes to 7 we group there, and at around 7 we go there.